We have all seen that the Utah Jazz are not afraid to make moves this offseason. There's been a lot of trade rumors going in after another first-round exit, and we all saw just 3 days ago the Utah Jazz traded Rudy Gobert for Patrick Beverley, Malik, whatever his last name is, Kessler, the first-round draft pick of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Not only that, one other player, Jared Vanderbilt, and 4 additional first-round draft picks, 2023, 2025, 2027, and 2029, with 3 of those being unprotected. So Rudy Gobert's gone. 9 years here in Utah. But now the big question that remains in Utah, what are the Utah Jazz going to do with Donovan Mitchell? He still has 4 years left on his contract. Are the Jazz going to decide to rebuild around Donovan Mitchell? Or are they going to blow it up completely? And if so, how should the Jazz go about doing that? Blake, big question and a big answer is needed from Utah.
Very, very big question. He has a lot of money sitting on his head right now. The performance in the first round this year just wasn't it from Donovan Mitchell. But I do want to point out, again, with this Rudy Gobert trade, it really opened the door to a Donovan Mitchell trade. I think that door was already slightly open, but it kind of kicked it open because it really kind of set the stage for a possible tank by the Jazz. And obviously you can't confirm anything until it happens, but Danny Ainge getting that kind of value for a 30-year-old guy who can't play on offense is extremely incredible. And you could, and it, in a way, I was talking about this just a second ago with Addison, but with the Kevin Durant stuff, that trade almost just offset that whole thing because they just got all this value for Rudy Gobert, who again is 30 years old. I believe Kevin Durant is what, 33? Maybe?
34.
34, yeah.
34.
He's an old guy, but at the same time, these teams who are looking at Kevin Durant and Joe Tsai for the Nets, their owner is like, yeah, we're gonna have to get at least the same value for Kevin Durant that they just got for Rudy Gobert, right? I mean, obviously you would want to get more, but no team has more. The Timberwolves just gave up their entire trade leverage, I would say. And now
their entire future.
Yeah,
their entire future
pretty much
is dependent on winning in these next 3-4 years with Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns. Because if this pairing doesn't work out, obviously they signed Karl Anthony Towns to that 4-year extension. They've got Gobert for another 4 years. If in 4 years the Timberwolves haven't won an NBA championship, it's over for them for a long time because they don't have any draft capital now. That's all gone out the window. Their youth has all taken a big hit. And I think that's a big question with Donovan. That's a huge question with Donovan now, too, because, Gobert was 30. Gobert's 30. He's in his prime right now, but in 2-3 years, he'll be out of his prime. Donovan Mitchell might not have hit his prime yet, right? Donovan Mitchell is 25 years old. He still is a young superstar in this league, and the media loves him a lot more. The trade value for Donovan Mitchell, you would think, would be higher than Rudy Gobert.
I mean, you would think.
Is it worth the rebuild if you trade Donovan Mitchell? Is it worth?
Here's what I would say. I mean, we went into this playoff series, the rumors about the Knicks already kind of floating around. And before then, if you're the Jazz, you're like, we're going to need at least R.J. Barrett and then, some picks and stuff like that. Now, if you're the Knicks, are you giving up R.J. Barrett for a guy that flopped that hard in the playoffs and Donovan Mitchell? Again, the whole thing is just kind of flip-flopped on us.
I don't think they are that worried about his playoff performance. I think you're overreacting to Donovan Mitchell's playoff performance this year.
But still, I feel like it gives the Knicks more leverage to be like, yeah, I think that we could maybe give you Barrett, but that's about it. Like, it would just be a swap at that point. You know what I'm saying? So, and maybe they could ask for more than Donovan Mitchell because, look.
What?
Here, that's exactly what I'm saying.
You would be willing to do that trade?
No, I wouldn't. But I'm saying that the bad playoff performance just gives them more leverage to say something like that. Obviously, Danny Ainge would never accept that because it's Danny Ainge. He always gets more than, is asked. But what I would say for Donovan Mitchell, I don't think he's hit his prime either, but I feel like it's hard for him.
What are you trying to do? What do you want Utah to do with Donovan Mitchell?
See, I don't know because, the numbers in that Denver series were just unbelievable. The 50-point games, it was just incredible, and I feel like it's almost impossible to live up to that. Even, it's even harder when you're actually playing in front of fans. And I feel like that gave us kind of unrealistic expectations of what he could be. And it feels like people have just kind of loved Donovan less and less over the past 3 years. Would you agree with that? Just not everybody is as passionate about him.
I would absolutely agree with that. I think Donovan Mitchell, after that, especially this season, the fans went from loving him his rookie year, and then, while his success has been there, the team's playoff success hasn't been there, and that they kind of put that accountability and responsibility on Donovan Mitchell, which is why some Jazz fans want him out. Me personally, if you go back to just 3-4 weeks ago, I said if we were going to trade one of them, I would have preferred it to be Donovan Mitchell. I'm not going to, pretend like I didn't say that. I did. That's where my mind was at the time. But now looking back on it, I think you were absolutely right about it, Blake. I'm glad that we did not trade Donovan Mitchell. I think it was better that we traded Gobert. I think that the Jazz should build around Donovan. Now that this has happened, and now that we have acquired 6 first-round draft picks, remember, we got a first for O'Neal. We virtually got 5 first-round draft picks if you include the first-round draft picks that we got from Minnesota this year. So virtually, it's 6 first-round draft picks the Utah Jazz got this year.
Which is incredible. You
still have trade value in Mike Conley and Bojan Bogdanovic, maybe even a little in Jordan Clarkson. Again, Donovan Mitchell is 25 years old. If we need to sit him this year, he broke his pinky. Oh, he's got to sit for 3 months.
Play a shot.
Do that. Tank. Get a great first-round draft pick. Remember, we have 3 first-round draft picks this year. Fully invest in this rebuild around Donovan Mitchell. Then with those assets, we can acquire people that can help suit Donovan Mitchell, and that's where we can start to contend. We knew the roster wasn't going to work. So I think blowing it up completely, if you blow it up completely, where are we really going with this? Unless you have an amazing, perfect plan,
it's not going to work. It's hard. It's really a shot in the dark. And, with the hiring of Will Hardy, who's a first-year coach, I mean, give him credit where it's due. He was a fantastic assistant in Boston, but the key word there is assistant. Again, he hasn't had this experience yet where we can be like, we're going to contend. I think that they want to test the waters, and maybe they want to rebuild, but I don't think they would have given him a 5-year contract if they didn't think that there was going to be at least one bad year in there where they try to get some young talent within the franchise.
And we have the ability with those 6 first-round draft picks to make our mark. Listen, we have 3 first-round draft picks next year. Tank, get a good pick, right? And then start to build around Donovan that way. And remember, even after we have we have 9 draft picks in these next 4 or 5 years. Use some of those picks. Go get a guy like Malcolm Brogdon. We had Jeremy Grant got traded for a first-round pick.
Right.
I mean, go get an elite type of guy like that with one of those first-round picks. Truly invest and build around Donovan Mitchell, because I don't care what any other Jazz fan says. Donovan Mitchell is, and if you don't think he is, he will be a superstar in this league. He has the potential to be a superstar in this league.
Absolutely.
A legit superstar in this league. Trading him makes no sense at this point, because then you're betting on the fact that one of these picks is going to turn into another Donovan Mitchell. And the truth of the matter is that is not the case all the time. You've seen
it's a
rebuild like that, and it doesn't work. Build around Donovan. You have the assets to do it, and that's exactly what Utah should do. Because if they do it right, and I trust Danny Ainge to do it right, because he did it with the Celtics, so why not us?
Right.
Do it right, build around Donovan, put the right pieces around him, and this team will contend. It's not going to be next year. It won't be the year after that. Slow process. Donovan has time to go through a rebuild right now.
Yep, absolutely.
If this happened 2 years later than now,
we'd be in a risky spot. Yeah, right now is the time. Right now is the time. And, I would say that there is definitely credibility to the stuff about his connections with Miami, with New York. But right now, you need to focus on keeping him, building, and let's try to build a team that actually has a shot at the championship.
Because worst comes to worst, we take this tank year this year, right? And we don't do well. We draft 3 solid young players, and then he's like, oh, well, now I want out. I don't want to be a part of this rebuild. Why would his trade value be any different unless he got – so you're betting on him getting hurt. Donovan Mitchell would then still have 3 years, maybe even if he requested in 2 years. So it's 2 years on his contract. Big market teams like Miami, New York would still pay the same price they'll pay now because Donovan will be 27, 28 at the
He's lagging. You know, I agree with him though. The price would stay the same. You kind of lagged out there, but it's all good. Again, the price would stay the same when he was 28 because again, that's when guys hit their prime usually. So, yeah, I agree. Let's build around Donovan. Let's make that happen.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap it up. We're not going to be live for tonight's Summer League game, but sometime during the Summer League, probably on the 7th, we will be live for that one, possibly even the 6th. So stick around at the community tab for that. But comment down your thoughts. Do you think we should trade Donovan Mitchell and go into a full-blown rebuild or build around him?